Now, it's time for the Anchormen podcast with Matt Gaetz and Dan Ball.
Welcome back to the variety program we call the Anchormen Show. We've got one of our good buddies that lives in the San Diego area here with us to chop it up in a moment. But before I bring in my good friends, I just want to take a moment to welcome the tremendous new audience that we have on the Charter Spectrum family. We are so honored to be platformed on Charter Spectrum, and Spectrum viewers are going to get diverse viewpoints, in-depth reporting, analysis, opinion, and we look forward to a great partnership. And it really reinforces that 2025 has been the year of One America News. We have a deal with Voice of America for global distribution. We've got our great linear cable customers here, and increasingly we're having opportunities in the digital world that really expand the conversation. I'm so honored to be a part of it. We're thrilled. We're going to have even more good news coming on the carriage of our network for millions of Americans who need to get past the traditional narratives that we see in mainstream media. So on this program, we don't do the same thing we do on our talk shows. We get together, we chop it up, and it's an opportunity for us to have a little bit more casual conversation than you'll typically see during the hard news of One America News. I am joined this evening by my good friend, my on-again, off-again employee. He was the founding producer of Steve Bannon's War Room. He worked on Capitol Hill, in my office, and in the office of one George Santos. Now he is a producer on the Matt Gaetz Show. Vish Burra, thank you for being here.
Always a pleasure.
We knew when we came to San Diego that we would not get out of this experience without a great collaboration with our buddy Shane. The War Rhino is how you know him if you are a fan of certain battling sports. But we're glad that you're here with us. Vish, take a minute and introduce Shane.
Yeah, so Shane is a friend that I met through some of my travels at the War Room. He is a fought in Bellator, Purple Heart recipient, Marine. I love this guy's energy, but I got to know him real close and personal on my birthday when he caked me with the birthday cake, which you were there for.
You know, I think you just made mention of that so that our production team would throw in the SOT video of Shane throwing a cake in your face. But now all of our new viewers on the Spectrum family of networks will see that that you got cake in your face from Shane.
Shut up! Happy birthday to you!
We have a lot of young men who watch the program, and one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is that you have shared some of these incredible stories with me about being a fighter, what you have to put your mind and body through, what you have to endure on the recovery side, the way that the finances of the industry of fighting have to intersect with when you're available and what you're willing to do to yourself. And I just thought a lot of people might be interested in that. And so, Shane Kruchten, give us a little bit of your background and how you came to be someone who was fighting other people for money.
So, grew up in northern Wisconsin. Humble life, grew up on a farm, nothing much. Went off to the Marine Corps at 17 years old. A couple days after I turned 17. Next thing you know, I'm in combat. I get back home, and then I end up getting medically released from the Marine Corps. Well, I knew how to fight, and I showed up at a bar in the middle of Wisconsin. And little unknown story, I showed up to a bar, and I'm drinking. And this guy walks up to me and goes, "You look like a big guy." At the time, I was about 260, a little fatter. And he goes, "You look like a big guy. You ever fight?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" I thought he wanted to fight me. I thought we were going to get down. And he goes, "Well, I'll give you a $500 bar tab. You get in there and fight right now." I'm 21 years old, and there's a 44-year-old man in the ring. And I was
when you say ring in this bar, paint a picture of what this ring looks like.
So Midwestern bar, it's a literal bar. And then they had a convention area in the back, and it looked like my grandmother's basement. It was all wood paneling on the walls. It had some windows overviewing the lake in Neenah, Menasha, Wisconsin. And they had an actual boxing ring. And that was my first professional mixed martial arts fight.
How many drinks had you had?
Probably about half of a bottle of Jack.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was pretty lit. I don't remember putting shorts on. And I got in there, and if you ever see the video, it's quite hilarious. There's only one VHS tape, and I don't know where that's at. That's how long ago this fight was. There was a VHS tape. I kept taking him down. I had wrestling experience. I had no boxing experience. I didn't know how to throw a punch, so I'm missing every punch. And the ground and pound, I just kept taking him down. That's all I knew how to do. So every time he punched me, it just hurt. But then I launched that into a career that lasted 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it started like battling some boomer lumberjack.
Yeah, a boomer lumberjack that was old enough to be my father at the time, that was retired from the United States Army.
Okay, so one of the things I found really interesting is how in these professional bouts, you would have to identify a weight class and then pursue like these crazy things you would do to your body to shed weight. So describe those things and then identify which of them would work on Vish.
Ooh, I love Vish too much. So there was too many things that would happen quite often, and you'd have to kill your body. So I started at 262, and I worked my way down every weight class except for 170 all the way to 145. And I would fight all these different...
Not even meth will cut that much weight.
No, and I haven't met anybody, and it was kind of funny. So it's really hard to walk in and people see you, and they didn't see me for 8 months, and I lost 100 pounds in 8 months. It just ridiculous. Remember,
most people will just think about their favorite clip of Rocky training and just be like, well, you just must have done a lot of that. Like, is that actually what it is?
No, I just was very poor. I thought I was going to be in the UFC in 2 years. And I was like, I'll be in the UFC in 2 years, so this is what I'm going to do. And I couldn't afford food, so I would just eat tuna and eat an egg in the morning. That's all I could afford because I was going to be in the UFC. Needless to say, I can assure every viewer here I did not make the UFC in 2 years. I was very poor.
But you did 2 years of tuna and egg?
2 years of just tuna and egg. 1 egg a day because eggs are expensive.
Vish, you could do this.
You got this.
Like, I thought he was going to be...
all you can eat? That's all you can eat?
That's all you can eat.
I thought
But
he was
isn't
going to say...
at least like, chicken of the sea? Like,
You get 2 cans of the cheapest stuff you could find at 99-cent store of the 5-pack. You get 2 cans a day and 1 egg.
Are you sure I can do that?
It doesn't work if the tuna was harvested sustainbly.
No, it does not.
Oh,
it needs to be injected.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's my style.
But no, think about it. If it was that, or you have to put some garbage bag over your body and run up and down stadium stairs, like you probably couldn't do that. You could do the tuna thing.
I probably couldn't do that, which is why I don't do that. But I don't know if I could do the tuna thing either. Tuna and egg, that's it. There's no carbs.
No carbs.
Oh man.
No carbs.
So this this is going to be some crazy white lady diet that is going to emerge out of this podcast.
And I am not medically endorsing this.
No, okay. So you cut all the weight. You find out what weight you're going to fight at. Like, walk me through the things that happen in the 10 days, 2 weeks before a fight that you have to do to your body.
Ooh. So when I got to the show, if you will, the big show was World Series of Fighting, which is now known as PFL, Professional Fighters League. And I remember WSOF 3, I get a phone call that they gave me three months to get ready. And it was on Christmas Eve. They gave me the notice, and I was like, yeah, I got this. My daughter was born, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm a new dad. Okay, well now I got to starve myself. I was 196 pounds, and they said I had to be 145 in less than 3 months. So I go to the gym, I check in, and I start losing the weight a little bit. You up your cardio, you up everything. Next thing you know, I'm dying, and I get down to like 172, and I couldn't lose more weight. My coaches were able to get me down to 164, 165, and then I had to lose 18 pounds.
Did you take illegal drugs to do that?
Absolutely not. No illegal drugs. I did 18 pounds in 2 days, just water weight at the last.
So how do you lose that much water weight?
So there's an old wrestling trick, and you take boiling hot water as hot as you can stand. You dump it in, you put it in a bathtub with about 5 pounds of Epsom salt and bottles of green alcohol. And you get in. So the green alcohol opens your pores. The Epsom salt opens your pores, and the alcohol yanks the water out. You can lose if you do 20 to 25 minute dumps, and then you wrap yourself in a cocoon for 10 minutes and jump right back in. You can lose about 15 pounds in under 2 hours. And
how do you feel?
Oh, the worst. Like a walking zombie. People have to help you get in bed.
That sounds like a terrible thing to have to do right before fighting someone
Wait,
else.
yeah. How does that work? If you have to be helped into bed, but like you're gonna be stepping into the ring just like.
Oh no. So on the contrary. So if you look at some of my pictures, and I've showed yourself, Matt, and I've showed you, Vish. I've weighed in at 144, 145, and the next day I'll be 173, and ready for the fight. So I can gain almost 30 pounds overnight.
Is it like Golden Corral you go to?
Water weight, soup plantation, you name it, plus, which is illegal now. It wasn't when I was doing it, was IV bags. I'd probably take 5 or 6 IV bags. I'd have a doctor up in my room ready to go, and my corners I'd get on the scale, look all tough, look all anorexic and sucked up and flex, and then my corners would help me get up to the room and put IV bags right in me right away, and then get you to eat a whole thing of broccoli just to settle your tummy, and then friggin' start eating there, and that's it. And that was all you could do.
And so, like, you have this crazy dynamic, like, shift happening with your body over, 4 or 5 days,
Yep.
right? And, I mean, how often, and then if you do it often, obviously, that's the process for every fight.
For every fight.
Dude, what does that do to your body, though? There has to be,
My body's destroyed now.
long-term effects?
Yeah, it is. I have to be on TRT now, testosterone replacement therapy. I've destroyed some of my intestines. I've really destroyed my longevity. So I have to take testosterone regularly in order to keep my testosterone up. My testosterone level was at an 85-year-old man's level when I was tested, just because.
Which generation? Because the 85-year-old men of the greatest generation have a higher level than the Zoomers of today.
We're talking the Zoomers of today.
Okay, all right. They were
Zoomers of
85. Where they're headed, you don't want to go.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. No way, no how. The 85-year-old generation of the World War II, absolutely. I would dream of that level.
Were you ever a fan of like older fighters?
I was, and I'm actually really close.
Some fighters aren't fans, but like
I was a weird fan of the Tito Ortiz, of the Chuck Liddell, of the Dan Severns. And now all three are some of my closest friends. It's really creepy that I can jump on my phone and just text and be like, oh, I'm just going to text Chuck Liddell today. Or I'm just going to and Chuck Liddell's making fun of me via text message. He'll see me on a podcast and make fun of me. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Chuck. And it's just random. It's really weird to be a fan of somebody.
But those are UFC fighters. What about like boxers?
Boxers. Ooh, Jack Dempsey's. Oh, you got to bring it all the way back. Like those old school, like really went in 100+ round guys. Like I wouldn't have the stamina or the want to ever be in a fight like that. You think of Jack Dempsey did 110 rounds in one fight before in New York City. No, thank you. But yes,
somebody must have been betting on that.
Oh, 100%. That was a mafia-ran organization.
Right. There was a certain number of rounds they had to go to make the books right.
You think about 110 rounds at 3 minutes? No, thank you.
No.
No.
I always liked like Tyson at his best.
Oh.
Roy Jones Jr. at his best.
Yeah.
One of the best pound for pound fighters. And a guy who he's made a lot of money as a promoter now, but I don't think he even got enough credit in the ring. He was a killer in the ring, Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, when this guy got weakness, would sense it. Some of the fights he had with Bernard Hopkins were unbelievable. Hopkins made a name for himself by beating up La Hoya in some of those cases. That was the golden age. I don't think I could name 5 boxers now. It's been totally overtaken by UFC. A lot has been made of like Dana White acquiring this asset and what it says about viewership and culture and society, that this is where it's gone. Like, what do you make of it? That the icons were the Dempseys, the Lennox Lewises, the Mike Tysons, the George Foremans, and now the generation to come will know the great fighters of UFC, of mixed martial arts.
It's very unfortunate because they paved the way for martial arts or combat sports in America, if you will, in the 1900s and the 1800s. They paved the way, especially when you look at Madison Square Garden and things. So the people of today, unless they get a history lesson from their parents, or our generation can pass that knowledge down, it's unfortunate. It might die out, and I hope it doesn't, because the UFC is great, but the UFC's career is really a blink if you really look at it. These guys are in there, most don't make it over 5 fights. you're great if you make over 10 fights. If you're in the UFC for 15 to 20 fights, you're a legend. It's crazy. In boxing, these guys had 50, 60 fights. And to be good, you're like, it doesn't equate to today's, and it's kind of a very downer. It's unfortunate. And you said De La Hoya's name. People know De La Hoya today as like this mockery that just promotes and does this and brings in Jake Pauls, and he was a savage.
Yes.
Like people see this guy just cheery. That guy, he didn't take anything for granted. When he fought Mayweather, when he fought these guys, some of the best people in the world, those were good fights.
Well, Floyd had the best defense of anybody of his era. Yeah. And when Mayweather when Oscar would get any type of opportunity to blow him up, it was just something to watch.
And it was just insane.
Was there more strategy, you think, in boxing than in UFC?
I'm going to catch a lot of hate for this answer. I think there's more strategy in MMA due to the fact that you have to defend takedowns, elbows, knees, kicks, punches, elbows. In boxing, I have to block a punch. Now, if you take a pure boxer against a pure MMA guy, he's going to pick him apart, pop, 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 just with hands. But if you take them down, a boxer won't know what to do. So it's weird. They're in their perspective art, they are both amazing.
Well, let me lay out a contrary theory.
Okay.
That, like, if you just have someone who is such a beast of a human being that they could just rip you apart, if you're in MMA, they win at a higher rate than in boxing because you can access fewer of those tools in boxing. You can access a wider array of tools. So if you have more tools and you're more elite at them, like the physical specimen prevails at a higher rate in MMA than in boxing, because in boxing, it's really about how you throw and block and take punches.
I would agree with that analogy 100%. Well, you
weighing in on this one?
Well,
he looks lost.
My problem is all my fighting I've done like in the street or not in a ring,
Yeah.
So that's where my perspective comes from, and that's even kind of weirder and a different dynamic, right? Like your street level is not even the same, right?
Oh no, but Vish, you're ignoring the news, because the news now is that the street is meeting UFC. Kash Patel in talks with Dana White to have FBI agents learn more about their street combat and hand-to-hand tactics from the octagon.
Yeah.
So the blending of the worlds. Shane, the War Rhino, tell us, like, what could you have taught an FBI agent at the peak of your fighting?
Well, so it's actually really funny you bring that up. So El Cajon Police Department used to come into my gym back in 2019, 2020, and I used to teach them. And they loved it. They would come in and pay for. I would try to give them free training. The mayor came in. Bill Wells came in and thanked us for teaching his police officers simple hand-to-hand defense and combat. Now you blend Kash Patel, who's an absolute savage himself.
Yes.
You bring him at the helm of his ship is the FBI, which is supposed to be the most fearful of the federal, officers on the planet.
Yeah, but I fear their wiretap more than their fist cuffs.
That's what I'm feeling, right? But if you would have had a bunch of FBI agents, let's say at Waco, that were well trained, and not or any event, or even in 2020 when the FBI goes and takes knees with BLM protesters, and they look like
Did that not happen in MMA?
Oh gosh, no! Nobody's taking a knee. And the guys that were taking knees looked like roly-polies. You had to roll them out in a wheelchair to take a knee that didn't even fit a bulletproof vest.
Guys, it's such a gendered comment.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Oopsies. No, but if you take these guys and you get these guys in, and if you really read about what Kash's thought process is with this, I actually respect it due to two things, and other FBI agents do as well. The FBI needs a certain stringent physical fitness requirement. You have to be able to be an FBI agent, be presentable, defend yourself, take down an enemy. If a terrorist comes up, don't be like, oh, hold on, I need a ho-ho before we go.
Well, they used to all be fit because it was like some weird. They had to be hot enough to turn on J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah, that was J. Edgar
So
Hoover's.
he wasn't picking a bunch of slugs.
No, he
was
wasn't picking no
studs.
slugs. Yeah, and then it just went completely, under Comey and everybody else. It just kept going, woo. And then here's Cash saying, hey, enough's enough. If we have to have,
so it's a symbol it's a symbol about masculinity in the FBI more than it is like you're actually going to learn something from a UFC fighter than you're going to use as an FBI agent.
I wouldn't even say it's a symbol of a masculinity thing. It's a symbol of strength. If you're in shape, you look at the United States Marine Corps. Look at their stringent. What Hexas just said. The military across the board needs. Pete Hexas said, the military across the board needs the Marine Corps strength standards. There's no more second guessing things. And I was like, yo, he's onto something. You can't have fat, lazy people representing your agency thinking people are intimidated by them. No offense. If the FBI came to my house with a bunch of fat, out of shape people, I'm not intimidated by that. I will fight back. And that's no hard.
If I was Attorney General, I was going to make Vish an FBI agent.
Amen. Look at that. Could you imagine this guy coming to my door? I'm going to kick him in his kneecap. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. He's like, please, not the kneecap.
Not my kneecap. But I mean, if I was an FBI agent, first of all, I would get you to teach me how to get.
You'd be in that weird salt bath.
For how long do I have to be in the salt bath?
Couple hours a day, buddy.
Ooh. Okay, I could do it. I'll do it. I'll do it to be an FBI
No,
agent.
this is bad. We're not endorsing
No.
Vish or anyone else doing that. It's a terrible idea.
It's
We
horrible.
only reference it for its destructive and to ensure that none of our viewers ever do it. But to the point about the military and the direction it's going, I actually think that this administration leaning into the fact that we want a masculine military and a masculine FBI inures to our recruiting benefit. There was this theory in recruiting that because we had a lower overall percentage of our population that was just physically fit to serve in the military. I think like at one point of those in high school, like 1 in 4 could meet the physical standards to serve in our military. And so instead of being like, yo, who are that 1 in 4 and how do we bat at a higher average with them? The perspective was, well, maybe we don't just look for the football players and soccer players anymore. Like maybe we go find the theater kids and try to turn them into the military. And I say that as like a proud theater kid from high school, but I wouldn't have been much use on the fighting side. But do you think that when we look back on this 10 years from now, history will judge that decision to lean into the 25% more than maybe trying to accommodate a broader array of people, but who just aren't suited for the service?
I've stared the Taliban in the face. I've seen Taliban face to face. I don't think, DEI is where masculinity goes to die. And that doesn't bring us into any sort of strength as a world power. The United States since 1776 has been known on the globe as a world power. There's a reason we're a 2-time defending world champ. But when you go into these places, the world was deathly afraid. I'll never forget in Iraq in 2003, they literally wouldn't fight if they saw the digital camouflage or the Marine Corps logo on your uniform. They were scared to fight you. They told us.
That's real strength.
Oh, they told us this. They said because other countries believed, and at that time, they believed that to be a United States Marine, you had to kill one of your family members to get into the Marine Corps. That was a world well-known.
We wasted all of this on a bunch of Bedouins in Iraq. Right. People thought this about us. China would still be afraid if we maintained these fictions.
If we just kept this fiction going. And unfortunately,
they blew it on Iraq.
They believed this for Iraq. They were so scared of the Marines. If they saw a Marine coming up, they're like, hi. Like, they didn't fight you. Jessica Lynch. I don't know if you know Jessica Lynch, where she was taken. Sorry. I coughed. But before they had her convoy go through, the Marines went through. Caught no enemy fire, no pop shots. The Army goes through and they just unload on them. They were deathly afraid of the United States Marines. It's well known around the globe. Even when the French Foreign Legion came into Iraq, we're friends with the United States Marines. They were scared to talk to us because they didn't know what we were going to do. They thought we were going to kill them because we had to. It was like, what?
Wow.
These world powers were deathly afraid of us. The
Marine training is the hardest one.
It is. It's 13 weeks. And they always say, and I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but they always say an average trained Marine is the same as a Navy SEAL. And I catch a lot of crap saying that from all my Navy SEAL buddies.
This is San Diego.
I know. I love my Navy SEAL buddies.
You need an escort for security purposes out of the building.
I have a lot of Navy SEAL friends, and I always say that joke to them, and I always get this weird look and a couple words that come out of their mouth, and I'm always like, all right, we're not going to make that joke anymore. And I always ask why they're not down in La Jolla on the shores, but that's...
We love the SEALs. So speaking of jokes, a little bit has changed in the comedy space. Should we pour one out for Stephen Colbert? Vish Burra, I know you have been such a focal point of late night comedy shows. Jimmy Kimmel has this little obsession about with you.
He loves you.
But when you got word that Colbert would be moving on, did you prepare your application for the slot?
You know what? If they had any sense, they would hire me. But I grew up...
By the way, he said the same thing about The View. Okay.
I would prefer The View if I could get a
kill
slot there. Yeah, they would love me. Colbert being finishing is end of an era, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of that generation that grew up where our interest in the news was mainly driven by the opinions of Jon Stewart on The Daily Show and then the Colbert Report that came after. And I loved the Daily Show. Colbert then gets his own, and he was a character on the Daily Show. Colbert gets his own show, and I loved that show even more. And he was.
So what you're saying is someone can be a character on someone else's show and then emerge as the leading character in an even better show?
Yes,
can happen.
That's totally possible.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, Kanye used to produce for Jay-Z, and then Kanye became Kanye.
I will note that for its very, very meaningful historical significance. But back to the matter.
So to the matter. So Colbert, great show. Again, drove my perception and some of my opinions about politics and world events at that time. I'm from that millennial generation.
It was also the best satire. What was
so
different
good
about Colbert is it was actually true satire that was funny rather than what he tried to do with the late night program.
You know what? And a lot of that satire today, me and you might agree with, like based on our experiences, knowing a lot of these like Republican congressmen.
He was making fun of the pro-war Republicans.
Yes, exactly.
He was making fun of the Iraq War and how people were so enthusiastic for it despite evidence of meaningful wins in the objective.
Yeah, and that was that was an avenue for him to talk about a lot of stuff, but everyone knew that they were coming in for satire, but like some kind of commentary on the news and world events. But when he got his late night show, I think he just totally missed the mark, and I think the timing of it with Trump coming into power.
It was mean-spirited. The difference was the satire was almost delightful and lighthearted.
Yes.
And then the attempted comedy late night had a certain like mean-spirited edge that felt more cringe at times.
Well, it felt like lecturing. It felt like he was nagging, right? And it's like you think about the late night show, the format, what it's for. You come home from a long day of work, you sit down, you're trying to wind down and just enjoy a few laughs. This guy couldn't help but lecture people about Trump.
So here's the true test. Best late night host ever, Shane.
Ooh, Adam Carolla, The Man Show.
Wow. Okay, all right. You went off. See, I was thinking Midwestern Letterman. You know, he kind of brought that Midwestern Minnesota guy.
We were too poor to have a TV that actually had that. I didn't have cable until I was 16, and I remember seeing cable, and I was like, oh. What in the world is this? I used to have to watch Flipper. So,
man, you're in a generation where you like you were hoping to get cable, only now to go to the streaming generation.
Yeah, now I'm in streaming. Now my daughter cries if her iPad doesn't work. It's like, what in the world?
Yeah,
I was like, if
oh,
you
no.
only knew.
Yeah, I'm transported all the way back to 1995 because Wi-Fi isn't omnipresent.
My rabbit ears had to bend to get the right signal, but no, yeah, I definitely think. Oh man, Letterman was an absolute icon. You can't ever. Jay Leno was another one that. Jay Leno was very flat comedy, but it was funny.
Dry and good.
Very dry, but very funny. and he always delivered, no matter what.
He never lectured you either.
Never.
It was
Never.
always, he knew, see, Jay Leno understood the assignment.
Correct.
Right? And that's why he's got a massive garage, and like nobody, nobody has a terrible opinion about that guy when you speak about him. Left or right doesn't matter.
Nope.
He understood the assignment. Colbert didn't, and that's why you see a lot of people kind of dancing on his grave right now. And other people making jokes that, oh look, USAID funding dried up, and all of a sudden the Colbert show is done, and the Democrats don't have enough cash on hand nationally. There are amazing trends that are happening.
Yeah.
And people are just dancing on graves now.
Do you think that big media has gotten the message about the viewership wanting a variety of perspectives and viewpoints?
I think big media has gotten the message that people are sick of the one lane train.
Yeah.
And they understand that there's got to be different avenues for your media.
Do you watch like left and right media?
I do. I watch both, and I'll be running at the gym. I'll be working out, and I'll be watching both CNN and Fox, trying to decipher between the two, because there's always somebody that's right, somebody that's wrong, and then there's the middle. I try to find the middle out of both.
Well, we have a lot of people who hate watch us, and we appreciate our hate watchers.
You have to.
We appreciate them whether they are commenting online or
still
emailing
getting
about
attention and
their perspective on the show.
I
think
hate
it's
watch
great.
everything.
And
have to.
and I think that if you're a snowflake, that's not ideal.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like now we have this situation where people are not willing to even get it into it, on a set face to face, right?
Correct.
But the whole idea of the Gavin Newsom podcast or whatever, where he's going to bring in these opposing voices, why is that so revolutionary,
Yeah,
right? It's so ridiculous on its face that we got that far. That Gavin Newsom doing that is something something worth like considering. And you don't even see much by now.
The most predictable news story we got this week, the story that all this money that people had given to the victims of the fires ended up going to left-wing NGOs.
Of course.
I mean, it was, of course that's where it was going.
The bigger news is what they're doing with the Pacific Palisades, where they fell out of the Senate.
That's so sad.
And that they're basically taking the land. Oh,
I don't know about this.
Dude, the Senate, the California Senate, I believe, just passed a bill that Newsom intends to sign, or I don't know if he has signed it yet, but he intends to sign it.
He has.
Oh, he has. So he signed it. It basically says that the government is able to buy this land cheap and make public housing out of it.
It's the same thing they did in Hawaii. They're playing an eminent domain without that name on it.
Yeah.
And they can buy it at pennies on the dollar for the land. A lot of these families in the Palisades didn't have enough. They don't have enough. The insurance still hasn't come up.
People in the Palisades didn't have enough money?
No, because some of
I thought the millionaires had been driven out by the billionaires in the Palisades.
Well, in the Palisades, though, there's families that have been there for 5-6 generations. They own the house outright. Okay. So these insurance companies are coming in and they're saying, oh, sorry, you only have X insurance, not Y. And so they're going, oh, what? They're like, but we
knew that would happen.
Oh, we knew this was going to happen. So Newsom, in a backdoor deal, my friend David is a assemblyman here in California, has been posting about it quite
our guy
quite often.
Kagipa.
Yes, sir.
He was on our program this week.
I love
terrific lawmaker.
I love David very much. And David posted, and I go, what in the world? They did this backroom deal, and they ended up. Newsom said, we'll never do this. We'll never do this. What did he do? Boom, lays it down, and it's already very left heavy, and boom, right away, signed.
Man, so the natural disaster is just the first wave in the set.
Correct.
After
So they're
the natural
building
disaster, you
low-income
have the
housing.
government roll in on top of you and take your land for pennies on the dollar so that they can make some
Low-income
illegal
housing.
immigrant encampment where you used to live.
It's the nightmare scenario, and it's like predictable too. A lot of people said that this is exactly what's going to happen, right? Because the same thing I think happened in Minneapolis.
Correct.
Same thing happened like
Hawaii.
you said, in Hawaii, even after the Maui fires.
Yep.
The fires that some people were even talking about them taking place in Western North Carolina, where those disasters happened.
Where the floods?
Yep. And so this is something you got to be worried about, especially like when you talk about like BlackRock and these big companies being able to come in and buy this stuff up too, and you, instead of treating property as, you know, as for homes and places to build, it's just an asset that they sit on over time and charge you rent that you can never buy, and just taking the Pacific Palisades off the market or Minneapolis off the market and driving, you know, home prices through the roof.
Well, you know, and then you look
America.
This would never happen in Florida.
Oh,
like
gosh,
in Florida, we're just so used to the disasters being a part of our everyday life that if a disaster meant that you like somehow degraded your property rights, that would not abide Florida man. Florida man will be like, hurricane, sinkhole, flood. This is my land. Whether it is
take it.
by the foot, by the acre, or by the gallon, it is mine.
Right. Well, now we got to hope that there's something could be done, but I don't know. The Pacific Palace, the idea that like this prime real estate is about to be chopped up
for low-income housing.
What an image, though. What an image, man. When they start putting up the illegal immigrant encampments in the Palisades, and we're like, this is what left-wing government gets you.
By the way, everyone, I want to know what the numbers are on, you know, how many people that used to live here who lost their homes now voted Democrat. You know, I don't wish ill on them, but people have to understand that there are consequences to
when they're bringing this travesty to places like Texas and Arizona, because all the blue is moving out of California, and they're like, oh, well, we need to run away because we don't like how California is turning out. But then they're turning a great red state like Arizona into a blue state. They're turning great, you know, they're trying to turn.
I don't know if that's
Texas.
the Californians in Arizona so much as the white collar, like Oracle.
It's Phoenix.
You know, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's Scottsdale, more specifically.
Yeah.
You've got this group of millennial white collar workers. And I think that tells us something about politics, that Trump won that state by 7 points. A lot of those folks looked at Kamala, and there may be business advisory consultants or accountants or lawyers, and they're saying, this is not a person who can do the job. And you know what? When Trump was running the place last time, maybe put some stuff on social media I didn't like, but I was doing better, and I had a better prospect for my life and my future. I am concerned about something for the future, and I need some advice on it. We've said I've got a little one on the way, and one of my concerns for him is the name of his generation. You know, I mean, I'm a millennial, like a zennial millennial.
Yeah.
You know, then we got the Zoomers. Vish is basically a Zoomer. Then you got Gen Alpha, and the generation being born is at risk of being Gen Beta. Ugh. You can't have that. So Vish Burra, if I put you in charge of this marketing campaign for the upcoming generation to not be Gen Beta, give me a name. Give me something that can stick.
You know, this one's a tough one, but if I have to keep the B on it, you know, for the hurricane-style naming convention here for the generations that we're getting, you know, I think it's got to be something like Jen Brother. You know,
Jen Brother?
Yeah, Jen Brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the black man from the Bronx.
The black man from New York.
Did not know that was where you were going to go with that.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be like a brotherly love kind of time, you know, where it's about like men like creating bonds to like to basically
you know, there are going to be women born too, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they're welcome to Jen Brother
there to serve the brothers.
Weird shock, brother. There's going to be women.
Of course, but I think that it's going to be
They're welcome in Jen Brother.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course they are, but I think it's about appreciating how the men of this of the future need to take responsibility for this nation and kind of execute on a lot of the ideas that are being come up with right now.
Brother's keeper.
Yeah, like a brother's keeper kind of thing.
But is that with an ER or an A?
Apostrophe.
I think A apostrophe.
or AH. AH. Shane, give me a name for this generation.
Generation Comeback.
Come back. Just skip the B's altogether.
Skip the B's altogether. We just need to just come back. So enough of the and Beta. Like whoever names that needs to fight 3 rounds with John Jones.
We're at risk. It's actually wearing the yellow jersey for the generation.
100%.
All right, you're giving them comeback.
Yeah, comeback.
What are we coming back from? The alpha and the
coming
Zoomers?
back from the DEI crap that tried to take down this nation.
Well,
for
let's
the last
hope we're not
5
still
years.
coming back from that by then. Let's hope that the Zoomers
I hope
have
we
that
just
figured out.
The Zoomers already figured it out. We're okay. So
The Zoomers can get out of therapy long enough.
yeah, if
I
they can get out of
think they could do
therapy
some
and
great
Starbucks
things.
for long enough, we'll be safe.
Yes. Well, I have one. Jen Builder.
Ooh.
Jen
like
Builder.
that. I like that.
I think that the tools to build things will exist for this generation in a way that are unthinkable to us a generation or so removed. When you think about prompt engineering, when you think about the fact that more and more the young people aren't looking at the job they want or the profession they want to have, but the things they want to create. So we could go Gen Alpha, Gen Builder, Gen Creator.
Ooh,
Got a
okay.
real continuum
Okay, we're
here to
gonna go
save
back.
humanity.
Okay,
So
I like
I'm
that.
putting it out there.
I'm not mad at
Do
that.
with it what you will, internet. I'm giving
How
you
do
this
we
gift.
get you on the generation naming committee?
We need you on.
Yeah,
we need you on the
that.
panel.
I'm going to apply. I hope it's easier to get on that than Senate confirmation. If it's a Senate confirmed post, I may have an issue.
We
If it's
might not get
Senate
through.
confirmed. I might have an opportunity to serve. There is another issue that Vish was telling me about, but I didn't fully didn't sink in. But I'm constantly interested in what's going out there to create human connection, and we're at different parts of that continuum right now. I'm, happily married guy, 4 years. You're fresh off of an engagement,
Yeah,
which
man.
is
Congratulations.
an incredibly exciting time to be alive.
is.
Hope springs eternal. Your heart is full. Someone has said yes. When you get to call yourself
I don't know how.
engaged, someone said yes.
How did
which
I
is a
convince
great
her?
thing. And then there is the call of the wild sitting next to you in the obviously I did not have help from a woman getting ready Gulf of America t-shirt. And so we got all angles covered here. But Bish tells me there is a new app called the T app that is shaping some feature of human connection. Tell us about it, Bish.
Oh yeah, so a new app on the market. It is quickly rising as one of the most popular apps on the App Store. It's called T, and it's basically a place where women can anonymously report on their dates with certain men from dating apps. It is essentially a Yelp for the men on dating apps. Now, if you don't think that's scary, this idea is not necessarily new. There was a Facebook group, I think.
Are we dating the same guy?
Are we dating the same guy? That kind of group kind of effort essentially has risen.
It's crowdsourcing.
No, it's crowdsourcing boundaries.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what should
Well, by
I
the
do?
way,
this?
let me offer you maybe an unpopular take. I wouldn't have wanted that as a dater.
Yeah.
When I go to a restaurant, what ruins that restaurant experience for me? Meeting the cook.
Oh.
Okay? When you meet the cook, you start to ask some questions. And there's a certain side of that you don't really want to see. And I don't want to know. Like, the beginning of a relationship is fun and interesting. And this person could be all of your hopes and dreams. And you get to learn so many new things about them. And to spoil that with, like, a customer review section on every person, like an Airbnb review, I just think ruins the magic and the whimsy and the courtship and the romance.
Well, you know what? These women are not interested in any of that. It just is. Well, how do you explain the popularity of something like,
Do you want the Yelp review on your dates, Vish?
Hell no, I don't want the Yelp review on my dates. Are you kidding me? But I'm not going to be able to avoid it. Nobody's going to shut down this app, right? Like, in fact, it's going to be labeled as this for protection for women and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what? Okay, fine. That's for you. But guess what? A lot of men are not really going to participate in this system if that's what... Just imagine.
Is this why women are so... Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Just imagine if we did the same thing for women. Like, if we had a Yelp review
Oh my gosh.
app for the women we find on dating apps. Just imagine how quickly that would get shut down for hate, targeting, any of that stuff.
That would
right?
be a civil rights violation and maybe a hate crime.
Maybe, I mean, and some part of it even a HIPAA violation, I'm sure.
Somehow.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to be So the fact that, this is something that exists, it's just going to further degrade an already degraded dating market in America.
Do we know too much about each other going into relationships?
Oh,
already?
Too much.
Is that one of the sources for the loneliness epidemic that has impacted women and men in this?
I think it's affecting. I think if you really look at it, gosh, I forgot who was talking about it, but the birth generations in America are down to, I think, 1.4 births per couple, and it actually needs to be at like 2.5 in order to sustain.
Fertility's down.
Yeah, fertility's way down.
Yeah, we've been poisoning a generation.
Well, we've been poisoning, not only poisoning, but you have these guys that are just trashed for being a good dad. Oh, he wanted to spend time with his kid, not with me. Like, what review is that? You just never mind. He probably had purple hair as well. But you look at these poor people that need to go on there. It's almost like a vindication. They need to validate themselves for their horrible
it can't
behaviors.
be their fault.
Correct.
That's a very insightful viewpoint, that it's not really about their duty to warn you about this person. It's them disclaiming the responsibility for why things didn't work out. Yeah. And this app is a platform to do.
I think it takes two to tango, 100%. Luckily, my poor fiance, I met her when she was 18 at the gym. That sounds really horrible, but we both got married and did our own lives both, and then we were able to rekindle after both of us went through a divorce by pure accident. And I'll never forget, her going, "I know who you are, Shane," and I was like, "Yo, what in the world?" on an app, and I was like, very scared. And she goes, "Yeah, you remember when you taught me about drinking distilled water and losing the weight?" And I was like, oh gosh, she knows me from fighting. I was deathly afraid. She said I was a real D.
Wow.
And I was not.
You had
the
to
nicest
overcome
person.
that. What was the most charming thing you did to overcome your online digital reputation?
My very first date, I took her to a dive bar. I mean, that's how you overcome that.
Dive bar. Feeling tired, foggy, or just low on energy?
Dive
might not be the stress. It could be your cells running low on fuel. That's why more and more folks are turning to NAD Plus and Methylene Blue. As we get older, our cells slow down, but that doesn't mean you have to. These products are helping people boost their energy, clear out their brain fog, and stay sharp. And so can you. You can get both NAD Plus and Methylene Blue from All Family Pharmacy. It's my go-to pharmacy. It's the one I've been telling you about. They make things easy. You get what you need without the usual runaround. They ship fast, don't require insurance, and the doctor's prescription is included. It's where I go for essentials like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, and more. It's all online, delivered to your door. Check out allfamilypharmacy.com/Matt. Use code MATT10 to save 10%. Today, that is allfamilypharmacy.com/Matt. Code MATT10. Stay sharp, stay strong, stay free. Well, that we can actually endorse. To be clear, all of the other medical remedies here were for discussion purposes only, and you should definitely not do them. But thank you, Shane, for coming by, sharing a little bit about your service to the country and the wild way someone becomes a fighter and kind of part of the broader Bannon War Room family of friends where we all got to know each other, hanging out with Steve and building that incredible platform that Vish was a part of. So appreciate you coming by.
Thank you for having me, man.
And thanks as always, Mr. Burra. I expect you at work on time, bright and early tomorrow.
I need to be.
All right. Thanks so much. We'll be back next week.
Want to see more great videos like this? Click on the link below to subscribe to OAN Live and watch Dan Ball's Real America and The Matt Gaetz Show on Dish Channel 212. Tune in, subscribe, and watch today.